Hello humans, Dr. Tux here. Before you leave your cat alone today, there's something you need to understand. Because what most people assume is harmless can actually lead to stress, frustration, and behavioral problems in cats. And the most concerning part is that it happens quietly. There is no obvious signal at first, no immediate consequence. But over time, small mistakes in how we leave our cats alone begin to accumulate. And they go directly against how cats are biologically wired to function. To understand why, we need to look at what a cat actually is, not as a pet, but as a species shaped by evolution. Cats are highly specialized predators. Their brains are designed for cycles of activity, stimulation, and recovery. They are not built to exist in a static, unchanging environment for long periods of time, which means that simply providing food, water, and shelter is not enough. So, before you walk out that door, there are a few critical things you should always set up first. The first one is to simulate a hunt. One of the most common mistakes cat owners make is leaving their cat alone without first engaging them. From a human perspective, it may seem unnecessary, but from a biological perspective, it is essential. In the wild, a cat's day is structured around a repeating sequence: hunt, catch, eat, rest. This sequence is not optional. It regulates both physical energy and neurological state. When this cycle is interrupted, energy does not simply disappear. It accumulates. And that accumulation often shows up later as restlessness, destructive behavior, or excessive vocalization. So, before you leave, you should initiate a short period of active play. 5 to 10 minutes is enough. Use a wand toy, something that mimics prey movement, or any form of interactive chasing. The important part is that the cat is actively engaged. Then, immediately after this, you feed them. This sequence matters because feeding after play signals the completion of a successful hunt. And once that signal is received, the body naturally shifts toward rest. Without this sequence, the cat remains in a state of unresolved stimulation. The second is to provide access to elevated spaces. Cats have a strong instinct to seek height. This is not simply a preference, it is rooted in survival. As mesopredators, cats exist in a position where they hunt smaller animals, but must also remain aware of larger threats. Height provides a significant advantage in this context. From an elevated position, a cat can observe more of its environment, detect movement earlier, and feel less vulnerable. In a domestic setting, this instinct does not disappear. It simply adapts to what is available. If your environment lacks vertical space, your cat may compensate by climbing furniture, or even climbing you. Before leaving your cat alone, you should make sure there are accessible high points in the environment. This can include shelves, window perches, cat trees, or any stable elevated surface. The goal is to give the cat a sense of spatial control. The third is to create a dynamic environment. A completely silent and static home may seem calm from a human perspective, but for a cat, it can be understimulating. Cats are highly sensitive to subtle changes in their environment. They track movement, sound, and light patterns continuously. This constant low-level stimulation is part of how they engage with their surroundings. When that stimulation is removed, the environment becomes less meaningful. Over time, this can contribute to boredom or disengagement. To counter this, you can introduce small, controlled sources of variation. Access to a window is one of the most effective options. Outdoor movement provides visual stimulation that cannot be replicated easily. If that is not possible, low-level background sound can help. Nature sounds, quiet television, or ambient noise can maintain a baseline level of sensory input. The goal is not to overwhelm the cat, but to prevent complete environmental stagnation. The fourth is to introduce choice. One of the most overlooked aspects of animal behavior is the importance of control. Animals experience less stress when they have the ability to influence their environment. This does not require complex changes. Even small choices can have a significant impact. For example, providing multiple resting locations allows the cat to choose based on temperature, light, or proximity. Different textures, heights, and levels of enclosure all contribute to this sense of control. Without these options, the environment becomes fixed, and a fixed environment reduces engagement. Before leaving your cat alone, consider whether they have meaningful choices available. If every option is essentially the same, then from the cat's perspective, there is no real choice at all. The fifth is to use interactive stimulation, not just passive toys. Many owners leave toys out for their cats, assuming this will provide entertainment. However, most static toys lose their novelty very quickly. Cats are not naturally inclined to engage with objects that do not move or change. What holds their attention is interaction and unpredictability. This is why puzzle feeders and treat dispensing toys are far more effective. They introduce a problem to solve. They mimic aspects of hunting behavior, and they provide a reward that reinforces engagement. Another important detail is rotation. If the same toys are always available, they lose their value. By limiting what is accessible and changing it periodically, you maintain novelty. This keeps the environment more engaging over time. The sixth is something simple, but extremely important: the litter box. From a human perspective, a slightly used litter box may not seem like a problem, but for a cat, this is a highly sensitive area of their environment. Cats rely heavily on scent to interpret their surroundings. Scent communicates information about territory, safety, and prior activity. A dirty litter box alters that information in a way that can create discomfort or hesitation. In some cases, it can lead to avoidance entirely, which is when problems begin. Before leaving your cat alone, you should always check the litter box. Provide one litter box per cat plus one extra, and make sure they are clean, accessible, and in a stable location. This is not just about hygiene. It is about maintaining a predictable and safe part of the cat's territory. The final point is the transition itself. This is where many owners unintentionally create stress. From the cat's perspective, your departure can appear sudden and unpredictable. There is no clear signal, no defined sequence. You are simply present, and then you are gone. This lack of structure can lead to confusion or anxiety, especially in cats that are more sensitive to change. The solution is to create a consistent pre-departure routine. Play, feed, allow the cat to settle, and then leave. Over time, this sequence becomes predictable, and predictability reduces stress. The cat begins to understand what your departure means, not as a disruption, but as part of a pattern. So, when you leave your cat alone, you are not just leaving behind a physical space. You are leaving behind an environment that either supports their biology or works against it. Cats do not require constant attention, but they do require an environment that aligns with their instincts. When that alignment is present, behavior tends to stabilize. When it is not, problems begin to appear, often slowly, often subtly, but consistently, and in most cases, they can be prevented, not with major changes, but with a few deliberate ones, made before you walk out the door.